Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome to my kitchen. Listen, today we're going to be making a 5-flavor pound cake. One of my daughter's friends had requested that I do this, and I was hoping she'd be able to come and do it with me, but she does not live in the area, so we're just going to try to do it, and hopefully she'll be able to see it and see how to do it herself. Anyhow, the key to baking a cake and making baking fun and easy is to prepare. And I like to just go ahead and get all the ingredients out of my pantry, out of my cabinet, so I'm not, got flour all over me and trying to reach and do all the different things. So it makes it so much more simple if you will just do your preparation first. So one of the things that almost every recipe that calls for butter asks for it to be softened, like at room temperature. So I got out 2 sticks of butter because we need a whole cup of butter for this recipe. And I've got this little gadget here. I think I've shown y'all this before, but I think you can see it's got all these little metal little wires that go across there, and you just take this and push it straight down on a stick of butter, and it cuts the butter into little pats, which makes it get to room temperature a lot quicker because more air can get around it. So I'll show you what I did. Let me see if I can move these over here. Hold on. So you can see here, this is where I've already cut it into the little pats, and it's already nice and soft. So I'll be putting that in the mixer. And then, now I have butter on my fingers and whatnot. So the next thing that it called for was to sift the flour and then measure it. I don't know how many of y'all ever learned how to do that, but I remember in cooking classes way back when they taught home ec in high school, we had the cooking sessions, and they taught us how to measure things, of course. And so what you do is you go ahead and sift the flour with a sifter, and let me show you my sifter. I've just got one right here. It's got like a little handle, and you just wiggle the handle like that, and you can see down in here the little thing goes around, but you can just you could beat it, or you could shake it, however, just do the handle at the bottom. But anyhow, go ahead and sift. And on here, it actually shows you the cup measurements on here. But we're going to measure it again after it's sifted. So I've already sifted it, and I've got it over here in a bowl. And I wanted to show you how I was taught to measure sifted flour. So you take your measuring cup. This is the sifted flour right here. So let me turn you down a little bit. And you don't dip this down in there, you just spoon it up into your measuring cup. Some people may do it different. This is just the way I was taught, like I said, back in the home ec days. And so I fill it bigger than the cup, right? So it's piled up there pretty good. Then you take a knife, something nice and flat like this, and you just run it right across the top like that. And that gives you a nice, flat, even cup of flour. So anyhow, I've already measured 2, so we need one more. So also when we're measuring like baking powder, baking soda, anything like that, you'll notice on the lid, especially on baking soda, there's like a little ledge there, and that's for you to just use that as you're leveling off instead of having to get a knife or anything like this. There we go. So there you go. And so it really was almost 3 cups. I know you can't see that because it's white on white, but I didn't use a colored bowl today, and I probably should have with all this. So And then the sugar, you know, you just measure it the same way. Just, you don't have to sift the sugar, but just put the sugar in there, and then, you know, just, if you just level everything off with like that, then you know you've got the right proportions. And it's kind of critical in baking that you have the right proportions, because when you don't, it just doesn't work out very good sometimes. So the other thing that it calls for you to do is to have 6 eggs, and I'm going to go ahead and crack the eggs, and I've shown y'all many times how I crack the eggs. I always crack them in an individual bowl to make sure there's no, like I don't have a bad egg or there's no shell in it before I dump it in, so that I have all of them in one bowl. So I've shown that to you several times, so I think you've got that down. So the other thing that it calls for doing in this particular recipe, and I'm kind of glad because I'm out of what I usually like to use, is that baking spray, which already has the flour in the spray. But this actually calls for you to to use your vegetable shortening, and I just used, you know, like Crisco, and to just rub it on around inside your pan. Now this is a pan with a big hole in the bottom, right? That wouldn't work, but it has the insert. So I will put the shortening all in here, and then we're going to powder it with sugar instead of flour. That's what it called for. So hopefully that will release well, like it's supposed to. But we will see, right? You just never know. Sometimes cakes just stick. So anyhow, I will get that greased really good, and then put the sugar in there, and then I'll get right back with y'all, and we'll start making this cake. Okay, I'm back now, and I've got my mixer ready here, and we're going to start mixing up our ingredients. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up the butter. It was 2 sticks of butter that are at room temperature. So let me dump those on into the mixer here. It's very soft butter. It's so soft it's sticking to this paper. Okay, and then there's the other one. I just dropped the butter cutter. And I sat out so I could show y'all. It's now down on the floor. Great. Okay. I always get my hands so greasy trying to handle that butter. Okay, so, and now we're going to put in a 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening, which is like the Crisco or anything else, any other kind of vegetable shortening that you have, but I use Crisco. So anyhow, again, I just leveled it off in a cup, 1/2 cup measure. And just put that in there too. So we're putting all our grease in the bowl first. And then we're going to beat this up with the sugar, which was 3 cups of sugar. So I'm not going to make you endure the noise of the mixer, but just know that I've got 2 sticks of butter, which is basically 1 cup, and a 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening. I use Crisco, and then I'm going to put 3 cups of sugar, just regular granulated sugar, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, so I don't know if y'all have this problem, like sometimes I've had. It's like, okay, it says beat it till fluffy. Well, what's the definition of fluffy? You know, so I think this is the definition of fluffy, because when I touched it with my scraper, because it says beat it till fluffy, which I beat it about 3 minutes on, like, I guess it was probably on an 8 out of 10 on my mixer here. And then when I went to scrape it down, it was so light and fluffy. So that's fluffy. And then it said, after you scrape it down, to beat it again. So I have done that now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the eggs one at a time. And I've got them, all 6 of them right here in this bowl. So I will just be mixing them and adding them in one at a time and let it just keep beating. And then I'll show y'all that. Okay, again, I'm stopped the mixer after adding the 6 eggs, and now I'm just scraping down the sides. And y'all, this is so, it almost feels like Cool Whip. You know how fluffy Cool Whip is when you're scraping it or mixing it? It feels like that. It's awesome. I guess that means that sugar has melted all in there, and it's just really, really light and fluffy. I want to taste it, but I'll wait. I will wait. Okay, so now the next thing I have to do is get my liquids ready, because we're going to be adding in the liquids. So what I have to do for the liquids, let me just show you this. I've got a measuring cup, and I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of 1/2 and 1/2. So let me measure that out. Okay, and now I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of whole buttermilk. So that gets my 1 cup there. And then we're going to add all the extracts into this milk. So there are 5 extracts because it's a 5-flavor cake. So let me get those over here and I'll show you in just 1 second. Okay, the first extract, you all know, it's vanilla. So we're going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla into the milk. That's number 1. I love vanilla. It makes everything taste good. Now we're going to add almond. And you always have seen almond extract in cakes, so that's not too unusual. So we're going to add that in now. Again, 1 teaspoon. That's all you need. And vanilla and almond go well together. So now, this is an extract I didn't even know existed. Butter extract. Whoever knew that? I mean, we just put 2 sticks of butter in here, but we need some more butter flavor, I guess. So we're going to put some butter extract. 1 teaspoon of that. This has got to be good, y'all. And then, of course, what goes with butter? Rum. Okay, so there's a rum extract. I've heard of buttered rum before. I've never had it, but I've heard of it. So there's the rum extract. This is just getting better and better. And now, my favorite, it's not everybody's. A lot of people, you either love it or you hate it, and I love it. Coconut. Okay, so coconut flavor. There we go. Now they're all mixed in with the milk. Now, we're going to take our flour that we set aside. I know it's hard to see white on white, but that's your 3 cups of flour that we sifted out. Now we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon, and I've got a little 1/2 teaspoon measure here, of salt. We use the fine sea salt here at our house, but you could use just regular salt. And then we're going to use a teaspoon of baking powder. So there's 1/2 and 2/2. I'm sorry you can't see that, but I just mixed it into the flour. So let me stir that up real good here so you can see. Okay, now then we're going to start adding the flour and the milk into the mixer with the creamed sugar and butter. So I'm going to alternate putting a little bit of milk, a little bit of flour, like that, until it's all in here. And then I'll get right back with you. Okay, y'all, it's ready. So all I have to do now is scrape the beater here, get all this off, down in the bowl. many of y'all used to love to lick the beater? Of course, there used to be 2 beaters when I was growing up. It was a handheld mixer. Well, actually, no, I think it was, but it had 2 beaters that would just beat against each other. So we would have to take turns. Who got to lick the bowl? Who got to lick the beaters? Because there were 3 of us at that time. And then later my baby brother was born, but when we were young and wanting to fight over the beaters, there were the 3 of us that would go for it. So, yum, yum. I can't wait to taste this, y'all. I'm gonna have to. Ooh, I can taste the coconut and the rum. Not sure about the other flavors, but definitely taste those 2. Oh my gosh, I could just sit here and lick this whole thing. But that's all right. Let me go wash my hands real quick and I'll get right back with you. Okay, I'm back, and you know I had to finish licking that beater too. Anyhow, okay, so now I'm going to put the batter into our prepared pan. Let me show you how it looks with all the sugar in the bottom there. And I'm going to sit it on top of a cookie sheet just because this pan is, it could possibly leak on the bottom. I've had that happen before. Hopefully it won't. Or it could rise up and be too high. I don't really know. I haven't made this particular recipe before, so we'll see how it does. Hopefully it'll be perfect and we won't have any problems. But if we do, it won't wind up in the bottom of my oven. It'll wind up on this cookie sheet. So I'm just gonna put it all in here. Turn the pan around a little bit. Get it kind of evenly spaced around here in the pan. It still feels light and fluffy. Creamy, I guess more creamy is the word. I love these rubber spatulas. We always call them child cheaters because they cheat the child from being able to lick very much out of the bowl. But you can see how good this looks already. Hope those flavors are going to turn out really good. I love a regular pound cake, so I was a little bit concerned about how this one's going to be, but we'll see what people like, what they don't like. Some people will probably not like it, especially if they don't like a coconut flavor at all, because I could taste the coconut when I tasted the batter, but of course it all tastes different once it's cooked. So we'll see. Maybe the other flavors are just offset their dislike for coconut. So, and this is going to have a topping that goes on it as well once it's done. So I think I've got that pretty even in here. I have preheated my oven to 325. And I want to tell y'all, one thing I discovered was my top oven is cooking about 25 degrees higher than what it says it's cooking, because I put a thermometer in there. And so I'm not going to cook this in my top oven, but I did test my bottom oven too, and it's cooking correct. So I'll get that top oven recalculated so that it does right, recalibrated, whatever the word is. I just got to find the owner's manual to be able to do it. So once I get that done, then both ovens will be good. But for right now, I'm just going to put it in the bottom oven. So I will. It has to bake, I think, for about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'll get back with you then. Okay, y'all, I'm back. The cake is out of the oven. I want you to see it. Let me bring it over here so you can see how good it looks. Look at that. I just want to pull some of that crust up and eat it, but I'm not going to. What I did do, though, is I took my cake tester. Let me show you this. You should always do this, is take your cake tester and just stick it down in there, and it comes out. It's nice and clean. Nothing was stuck to it. So that means the cake is done. So now I'm just going to try to loosen it around the edges, and then we're going to start putting the glaze on it. I wanted to show you the glaze, what I'm doing. Hold on a second. Let me set you over here. Okay, so I've got in this pot, I've got 1 tablespoon of water, 1/4 a cup of sugar, and 1/4 of a cup of butter. And so that's just coming to a boil. And get that good and melted and stirred together. And after it boils for a little while, then we're going to add the extracts in here, just like we put them in the cake. And then we're going to pour this all over the cake after we punch some holes in it. So I'm going to let that keep going. I'm going to try to loosen this cake up out of the pan, just insert a knife all the way around, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're letting this simmer because it came to a boil, and now I turned it down. I'm just going to let it simmer for about 3 minutes, and then I'm going to add the extracts into it. So it's got probably 2 more minutes, but while that's simmering, I'm going to go ahead and got this long skewer. This is just like a shish kebab skewer, and I'm going to see if I can get you over here a little closer. Maybe I can zoom in right here like this. How's that? And then I'm going to just poke holes all in the top of this cake with this skewer. So when we pour this glaze over it, it will just go all down in this cake. Y'all, do you know how hard it is for me to not grab one of those little pieces of crust right there? I can't wait to taste it. I know the batter was really good. So, okay, I've got holes poked all in here now. Oh. Looks like that's a little gooey right in there. Even though I had tested right here, that side right there looks a little more gooey. So, all right. And you can see this is getting a little bit thicker here. Maybe you can see. It's getting kind of thick. I'm gonna get my extracts ready. So I have to put a 1/2 teaspoon of each one in there. Got like 1/2 minute left, I think. So I'm just going to start opening these up and get them ready. I think I'll just go ahead. Looks like it's about time, so there's some rum. Whew. Here's the butter, so that gives us the buttered rum flavor right there. Some vanilla. I'll go ahead and cut that fire off. Then let me get the coconut. almond. Okay. So this is ready now to just start pouring it over the cake. So I'm going to do that. Let me tilt you up. Get you over here a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Just want that to soak all into that cake. Yeah, sometimes you take the cake out of the pan, but this particular recipe just says to leave it in the pan and put this glaze on and then turn it out. So we'll see how that does. I guess it keeps it all in the cake this way, whereas if I took it out and did it on a plate, a lot of this would probably just run off onto the plate. It doesn't make a lot of glaze, so that's a good thing. Some recipes just make an awful lot of glaze and then can't get it to soak in real good. This is looking good, y'all. And smelling pretty good. Okay, I think that's about it. Hope I didn't miss any spots. There's some all the way around. Spread it out and make sure. This hot cake is just going to melt down in there. So we're going to let it cool for about 10 or 15 minutes and then we'll figure out how to get it out of this pan. That may be a little tricky, especially this area right here where it looks like it, for some reason, didn't seem to get as done right there, but oh well, it'll still taste great. So I'll get back with you after I get this cooled down. All right, y'all, I'm back and it's time to do it. I picked the cake up off of the, got it right here. I took it off of the cookie sheet and I want to show you, it's really a good thing. I put it on the cookie sheet because you see this? This is what came out from underneath where the pan joins together with the insert. So all that would have been in the bottom of my oven. So thank goodness it's just there on the cookie sheet and I can wash it off. Okay, so this is the nerve-wracking part. I'm going to dump the cake onto this plate, flip it like that. Then I'm going to flip it onto this cardboard disc that will fit right in my cake carrier. So let's hope I can do this. All right. I think this plate is not right. I think I'm going to flip it onto the disc first, and then I'll get another disc to put it on when I flip it back around. Hold on one second. I love these cardboard discs that you can buy for cakes. They're really nice. It just makes it where you don't have to take a cake plate and leave it at somebody's house. You can just put it on this and they can figure out what they want to do with it. So, all right, here goes. I've got a hot pad under here so I don't burn myself. Oh, this works. Oh, sliding. All right, well, let's see if you can see the mess I'm making. Whoa, well that looks pretty good. Now let's center it on this thing. A little piece that came loose right there. center it on here and flip it over like that. And there we go. There it is, y'all. Let me see if I can center it on this a little bit better. That looks pretty. So what do you think? I think it looks really pretty. I'm worried about this part right here. I don't think that got really real done right there, but it's gonna taste delicious, I know. Ooh, look at this little piece that fell off. I'm gonna try it. And then I'll let the cake cool a lot more before I try to cut any of it. I'm taking this tomorrow to a sew day that we're having at the church. We're going to be sewing blocks for Quilt of Valor quilt. If y'all have not watched the Quilt of Valor presentation, I've got it out there on my YouTube channel, so please look at it. We presented one this morning to Vicki Dykes. She's a Army veteran, and she was a well-deserved recipient of a Quilt of Valor. And I'd love it if you would start subscribing to my channel so you can see when we do things like that, as well as all these great recipes. So let me taste this right now. Oh yeah. I could make a meal off of this. It's a good thing I'm taking it tomorrow. I don't want to put poundage back on me, but with this pound cake, but oh my gosh. Very, very flavorful. I do like it. All right. Remember, y'all subscribe here, wherever it is on your device. Thanks. Love you. Bye-bye.